coming from the US Department of State Fellowship. It's called Community Solutions Program. About 50 leaders around the world. They come and work in 50 states with community-based organizations. So coming to the topic of ecosystems, I come from Sri Lanka, which is a biodiversity hotspot. That means we have a lot of healthy ecosystems ranging from rainforests to coral reefs to mongoose. And I'm inspired by the beauty and the diversity of the ecosystems that you have in the US. So all these ecosystems are strange and beautiful because they have three strange characteristics. First, they are very nicely built. All these natural ecosystems have a great architecture, great organization. Second point is, these ecosystems have strange functions. They function so well, such a beautiful sequence. The third beautiful thing about ecosystems is that they are resilient to whatever the challenges that come from the nature. They withstand that. So I think a disaster response ecosystem also, in the same way, should have these three features. They should be very nicely built with the participation of all the stakeholders, and the community is the key. Because the community is the ultimate beneficiary of all the activities. So in this construction of the disaster response ecosystem, the community should be involved. If you take the government, they have a mandate, the mandate of serving the community. If you take non-governmental organizations, they have a mandate of serving the community. But if you go and ask the community, what is your mandate? They will be a little bit confused. So the mandate of the community is to get what the community wants. And all of us who have worked in disaster response would agree with me that this is not a very big concern that is addressed. It is addressed. I have seen it being addressed in conferences. I have seen it being addressed in big documents, declarations, in the nice words of community participation, all that. But when it really boils down to the ground zero, the disaster, I have a big question. So that is the structure that I was referring to. Then this disaster response ecosystems to be healthy, it should have great function. The whole process of the disaster response, starting from planning to implementation to monitoring and evaluation, should have the community members involved. This is easier said than done. So how much do we involve community members from the first day of planning the disaster response to implementing whatever the mitigation projects, to monitor and evaluation? So this is a big challenge that we have in disaster response in creating a healthy ecosystem. The third factor that I spoke about the healthy disaster response ecosystem is the resilience. Okay. I see a big link between vulnerable locations and vulnerable people. It is ironic that most vulnerable communities flock in the most vulnerable locations. I live in far away, so I have a great link to the tsunami affected village that I was working in between far away. Every time I travel along the metro track or the train, I get flashbacks of the village that I was working in. I see the same vulnerabilities, the same factors that contribute to the vulnerability in these communities. So we have to make sure that these most vulnerable communities are resilient. Climate change response is a little tricky, as I see. Climate change mitigation, I have a big question mark in front of that, coming from an island nation and from a developing country. I think when the world has implemented climate change mitigation, half of the world would be be under the ocean. So what would be left for the most vulnerable or the so-called frontline communities will be the fight or flight. So in that sense, these communities should be prepared. I think early warning system is very important because we cannot wait till the climate to be mitigated. We had that. And that is where I will speak to you about the project that I was working on. So it is very important that these communities have a way to avoid it. Like as Minister told very correctly, this happens over and over again. We went from the government of Sri Lanka, from the Minister of Health, to tackle that, to assist the people affected of typhoon, Yolanda. And they say they had 1 week of notice to evacuate, right? But people did not understand the word storm surge. They said there would be a storm surge, but people did not realize the risk of that word. It was very similar to tsunami, People had never heard about the word tsunami. So had they heard this word, they would not have lost so many deaths. So I see that having big early warning systems, organizations for predicting extreme events, does not mean anything unless the poorest and the least educated person on the ground understand what an early warning is. I doubt whether we have addressed that problem in many instances. So when it comes to healthy disaster response ecosystems, I read that it should have a great structure, and that structure, people should be at the focus. It should have the great function. The community should be really driving, maybe a little idealistic, but it should be resilient, and the community should be.
Thank you for